doing it all again. Daggy Barney are with you to talk footy and drink frothies as we look back on round 26 of the National Rugby League the penultimate round, I should say. Generally, it's the last round. One to go.
That's what's coming.
One to go. We're going to preview that later, so if you've tapped in here, stick around. We'll preview what's left of the comp that's going to play next week and look back at what's going on last week. Hello, what's happening?
Hey, mate. Highlight of the week, as usual, mate.
Oh, thank you.
Just sit around, have some beers, have a good chat with a good mate
Oh,
about
stop it.
something we love to indulge ourselves in over the weekends, or two things we like to indulge ourselves in over the weekends. So, how are you travelling?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, can't complain. Indulge I did, so I don't remember some games, so I did have to go back and watch some of Saturday, I'll be honest. But it was for the better that I wiped most of that Tigers game out of my mind. And, yeah, tricky to get much content out of the last round because some teams are clocked off, some teams...
Yeah, preview might go for about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Even the review, I don't know how you really analyse some of those games. But
some of these games were
some interesting moments in them. But no, life's good. Can't complain. What about you?
Yeah, no, throwing a few pigs around. It's, back on the road.
You're going to name and shame them, or are you just going to...
No, just back on the road for the last couple of days, so the body's a little...
Is that why you got the new shoes?
Body's a little weary, but going good. It's actually good to get a bit of physical, break a sweat.
How's your boxing career
for
coming
a couple of hours every day. So, it's going nowhere.
Okay.
I haven't gone back for a long time, to be honest. I really should, but
Yeah, life gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
At least we get free pass to do this, so let's plough on. Where do you want to start with some news? Let's get
What have we got? Corey found guilty?
So, judiciary, Corey's found guilty. He's copping all 4 weeks. We probably won't see him again until next year. Kerr took the one match. He's the only one who took the early one. Apart from, Katoni did too, but I would have imagined he was getting arrested anyway.
Yes.
Happy to cop that early. And Weir Hargreaves is going to fight his up to 7 weeks' worth of charges. Try and get a downgrade on this striking. I thought he hit him in the head. I think the carry on that he didn't is a bit dumb. But I can't imagine him getting too much of a downgrade.
Wouldn't think so, no. I'm pretty sure he cops a minimum 2 weeks, but you'll get the 3, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so. So we'll wait and see. Or 4 if he can. Now he's contested.
4, yeah.
Is the worst case plus the 3 for the headbutt. So he's going to play his 300th game back in Australia instead of in Vegas.
He got himself into one of those moods that he gets himself into, and just spent 10 minutes running around.
He's been in a mood
idiot.
for about a month now.
Yeah,
he's been good up to then.
He gets that real red mist on, as they say, and then he just loses his mind for 5 or 10 minutes and does a whole heap of stupid shit. But
injury news. Well, I guess we'll get breaking news on that, but that could go for 2 hours. Injury news. Where to even start? And what it might not really matter for some of these. The key ones were Josh Papali is out for the season.
Yep.
Fogarty's in doubt with a cheekbone from Canberra as well. They've named Joey Manu, who was limping around last week.
Only played 20 odd minutes, didn't he?
On him. And Kalyn Ponga's at the moment an AC joint. They suspect, so they're giving him this week. They think he should be right for finals.
Yeah.
There was heaps and heaps of other little bits and pieces, but a lot weren't probably going to play this week anyway. A lot we knew about. Any other major ones I've forgotten?
No, not
There's an extensive list. Everyone's resting everyone anyway, so...
Yeah, most of the teams that have set their spot, well, the top 4 anyway are pretty much resting everyone.
So
except for the Panthers.
The Panthers have named everyone. I suspect should Brisbane fall at the last step there, they may rest a few of those, but we'll wait and see on that. They've gone home. Oh, of course, obviously the big one. There are some other ones. Let me just get through this. 2 other big ones. 3 other big ones. Not really big. Liu is out for the season. Isaac Liu from Titans. Not really a big one. But the 2 big ones are Jerome Luai, who dislocated his shoulder. And it's looking like prelim final absolute earliest.
You would think so.
So what's that, 4 weeks?
Yeah.
4 to 6 might get him into a grand final. I guess we'll see. It's an interesting one because we've seen with shoulders, you bring him back that little bit too early. First tackle of the game, out it pops again, and
he'd be playing under duress, I would imagine. Even if they did wait until the grand final to bring him back, he'd be heavily needled up, and obviously a pretty obvious target in defence, depending on what they do there. Probably try to defend him at fullback or on the wing for half the time. But yeah, they'll
We
be,
saw how well
they'll be
the
looking for him.
restructure went on the weekend, but look, he's been good. He has been good for the last probably 3 months, I reckon. So
Well, even
he is a loss as a point of
even when
attack.
he's not playing at his best, he just suits that structure that they do
Yeah.
play. So he adds a lot to that Penrith side. So it'd be a massive out if he's not to play again this year.
And Tohu Harris is out this week with a back injury. They've rested a few. But the mail around is, and nothing's been confirmed, it could be serious.
Yeah, right.
And he is, not only was he enormous on Friday night, but
He's been close to their best player the last month.
Well, they can't win the comp without him.
Wouldn't think so.
I'd go as far to say if they were even a chance. And, yeah, that's a concern. Luke Metcalf also suffered a hamstring. Tamari Martin's back on board. So I guess we'll wait and see on that. But fingers crossed for Tohu because he's a key part of that team. And
Massive
he's
part.
he's
the leader.
the tribal
forward
chief,
leader.
isn't
Yeah.
he? So that's it in terms of all of that. And the rest of the week is all a bit of rubbish. There's been stuff out of Souths. Quite an elaborate ploy from South Sydney to start their campaign against the Churchills 8 weeks ago and decide not to make the grand final just so they didn't have to accept a Churchill medal. So well done on them for their foresight. But yeah, Rod Churchill had some dumb things to say. Look,
Yeah.
when I saw, at first I thought, okay, whatever. But when I saw some of the extended message that apparently got out, I thought, yeah, no, he's probably shouldn't have said that.
He's had a real good shot at him.
Yeah.
It's a drunken conversation between a couple of blokes at a bar, you know what I mean? Generally is what when you see that kind of vitriol come out of someone. But yeah, there was some indentations towards race and all the rest of that kind of stuff, which obviously it's not something that you want to be commenting on, especially probably to some the higher ups in the board. But
Exactly. But add it to the list of
made a goose of
Souths
himself.
are the flavour of the clickbait of the month. So we've heard massive, and we're not really going to indulge too much of rumours and whatever. We've seen messages about this, that, and the other being unhappy. Cam Murray's just re-signed till 2028, so he can't be too unhappy.
Well, the club would be stupid not to try and sign him there for
Absolutely.
life, to be real.
And I'm sure that's
honest,
coming down the road. But anything to add on the Souths?
It's good.
Debacle?
Murray thinks a very good signing, obviously. Bit of a dagger towards the Union because that was the big next big name apparently that they were looking towards. So doesn't want to go back and play Union, rather stay at Souths. Well, it happens when you don't win games, doesn't it? When you go from being they're on top of the comp 10, 12 weeks ago, looking like serious contenders, and they've fallen away dramatically over the recent weeks. Everyone was expecting Latrell to come back and the form pick up from Souths, and it's probably gone the other way, to be honest, which is only sort of, I guess, adds to the speculation and the rumours and crap that's going on around the club.
Especially when they haven't been good. Their defensive structures haven't been good. Their effort hasn't been good. They've been haggard. Their attack hasn't been good.
Walker's fallen off
average.
a cliff since Origin. It does smell like something is going on in the background there, but yeah, unless you've got some sort of inside knowledge, it's a bit hard to know, isn't it?
Exactly. I guess we'll see what this Saturday brings for them, and it all happens over the off season, doesn't
Massive game for South Sydney.
Yeah, and they're pushing uphill a little bit, but maybe the Roosters are too with some of their injuries. Mail around that apparently eight of the Bulldogs want out of the team now.
Yep.
That came out today. That's the rose is off the bloom with Cameron Ciraldo, signing of the year. That's interesting.
It's hard. You try to take a culture of a team that is willing to work through whatever. You know what I mean? But apparently, from everything we hear, he expects 8 to 9 hours of training 3 times a week, and then extras and all the and 4-hour recovery sessions and all the rest of that kind of stuff, which is obviously where he's come from. That's what Penrith do, because they're a team, they're unified, they're all willing to work as hard as anybody out in the competition, and you try to bring that to a culture that's, let's be honest, it's been quite poor for the last 5 to 10 years at the Bulldogs. And they're not. A lot of these guys are not interested in busting their ass for that kind of amount of time.
We saw. I mean, the closest. The closest I've seen is through Madge. He was forced out of the Tigers because he tried to instill what he thought was a premiership-winning work ethic, and they'd rather a win than actually subscribe to it. It's a very hard thing to do, and I don't know if there is a balance. I don't know if there's a modern coach has quite found the right balance.
No, yeah,
or a new wave of coach that's you could argue Fitzgibbon got close last year. This year, I don't know. Is there one that's really mastered that art?
No, it doesn't seem that way.
So the art's almost now tricking these kids into doing it and not realising.
Bennett's generally been the bloke who
Well, yeah,
you
obviously Bennett,
very rarely
Bellamy.
hear anything
Very.
coming out of a player base through his entire career, and Bellamy. I just think they obviously need a little bit of a let up every now and then. There's the younger guys, you see the 20-year-olds these days, they need a cuddle, they need to be reassured on how good they are and all that kind of stuff, just in general life. So obviously that's going to filter through to a player base. And, I just don't think people aren't willing to work as hard as you look at the blokes back in the day that do,
Well, you look at real life.
12 to 15-hour days every single day of the week.
Wants to get up at 6 a.m. anymore or 4 a.m. anymore to go to work if they have to. So it's almost a case, as I said, of getting your head around a new age coaching is almost tricking them into wanting to be there.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Trying to make fitness fun or something, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not there on the ground. We see what Benji does with his. I guess he's the youngest of them now.
Yep. I think
O'Brien
one of the big keys would be.
It took O'Brien a while to get there, and I guess when you listen to him now, you know what they discovered. Maybe hard work is what they needed. So
generally works better than most other things, but apart from
I suppose Webster's done a good
some
job.
sort of variation in the way that they do work with their fitness and conditioning.
I guess the two spruik ones, Peyton and Fitzgibbon, have just had their real ups and downs this year. So, interesting. Anything else to add on that? And in a win for virtue signalling everywhere, Belinda Sharp and Casey Badger are going to referee NRL games this year. Would you like to comment?
NRL final games.
NRL games this week. Neither will have any effect on the finals, of course.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want them anywhere near a game that would have any effect on the finals, considering some of the things we've seen out of their time spent on the sideline and in the bunker. I get, it's still a full round and they need as many refs as they can get, I guess, at this time of the year. But if they start getting appointed to positions in the finals, I'd be pretty disappointed.
Couldn't possibly imagine. What annoys me about this is that it's clearly not a merit-based appointment.
Doesn't seem that way.
And I'm all for having female referees, commentators, everything else. It's nothing knocking them, but these... Actually, I'm less critical of Belinda Sharp, but what we've seen out of Casey Badger consistently now, I've talked about it before, is not up to first-grade standard. It's a big game for her, because if she shits the bed, for lack of a better term, or can't keep up with the play, because it is, different speed.
Yep.
It almost puts them back 10 years. If they ever weren't going to go back 10 years, but it's not equality, and that's what annoys me more. Yeah. If it was equality, great.
The worst thing about it is we've both mentioned it, like the way she talks through a thought process in the bunker and then gives a different decision, or talks herself into making the incorrect decision in the bunker, and it's happened. Would have happened a handful of times in the last two times she's been up there.
If she hadn't made a mistake in 12 weeks. Not even 12 weeks. If she'd made a couple,
one here and
but
there.
She's made howlers on howlers on howlers, and now she's a first-grade referee.
Yeah.
But hey, there'll be newspaper headlines, great.
Absolutely.
Whatever. We're 2 years away from being where the AFL are, but anyway, that's a different story for all that. What are we going to say that someone's not going to be offended by?
Yeah. Be offended. What's it going to do for you?
Good luck to you. And Supercoach, we will mention this in the main show, but our two Supercoach comps have wrapped up.
I have.
Congratulations to Robbo's Rompers, coached by Jack, and Cooper Maker, coached by Lloyd, who won the two. Well done, both of them.
Correct.
Big efforts in a high quality comp actually. Great results for both of them. Team list Tuesday today really hammered home how important that we gave up those 2 money-making weeks at the start of the comp to bring our finals forward a week, and I'm glad we did, because I think if you're running Supercoach comps, I would be looking to do that more often, because it's I'm
pretty sure
to have a grand final decided with these teams.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the whole they brought everything forward, all the grand finals for head-to-head competitions that week because of exactly what's happening. I've lost 12 I think 12 players out of my squad this week are being rested, so
Yeah.
I won't even field a full team. So that's going to be interesting come this round.
Yeah.
But I have put in some some high scores in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Unfortunately, Pip last couple of weeks ago in the finals, but I think ever since then I've topped the scores since I got knocked out of the comp. But
Yeah.
what do you do?
Yeah, and I won the minor premiership in a comp, so hey, I won the bottom 8 comp anyway. So, and I've got to give 3 people shout-outs.
I got you in the other one.
Yeah, you did. So we're the best of the
best of the losers.
We're great losers.
Yes, we are great losers.
I want to give shout-outs to 3 people who have done an outstanding job, which gives you a bit of an idea of the level of one of our competitions. Fisho.
Yep.
He's currently 500th overall.
Yeah, killing it.
Top 1%. Cooper Maker Lloyd, who won the comp, 720th overall.
Yep.
And GT, our statistician, 1,249th overall. So all top 1%.
Beautiful.
Obviously, all 3 are in the running for a smart set of tracky dacks this year. But congratulations to all of them. Outstanding effort. And I guess that's what we've got to
That'd
get
be
past.
interesting for GT if you can get a
he's still
good score
pushing.
this week. Because there'll be a lot of those top teams that'll be missing a lot
It'll
of
probably
players.
be frustrating for a lot of these players.
Not having
some
trades.
of these could go 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 spots.
Yeah, because
Another
they've
way.
lost half their team.
Or get sniped by someone who's
Yep.
hung around for that reason. But anyway, I just wanted
I'm
to
pretty sure GT did have a couple of trades and maybe a
I
boost
think
up
he did.
his
I
sleeve
think he
as
had,
well.
no, he
So.
had 2 last I spoke, but I could be corrected. But well, he was very proud of himself, and then went and looked.
Yeah, as he should be.
Absolutely should be, and went and looked. We had 2 higher than him, so well done to all of those. That is a great effort out of the top 20 to have 3 of our in
Yep.
the top, and a lot
Top
of them.
1%.
A lot of ours were all. We had a lot of players over 31, 32,000 as well. So that's very good all year.
Yeah, I think
As a total score.
I think 95% of our comp was in the top 30%
Mm.
of the whole thing. So.
So congratulations, all of everyone involved. That's what we'll say. Anything else you want to touch on before we get into this review?
No, mate, let's do that.
We kick off on Friday night with the Eels 32 defeating the Panthers 18. And again, as the Eels have done, Eels now I think are 4-2 last 6 times they've started,
Yes.
and really making and really set out again to make Penrith chase and to upset the defensive structure, and it worked really well, Barn. But
Did.
start with some stats first.
4 tries to 6, 1 out of 4 conversions, played 3 out of 6 for Parramatta. 1 out of 1 penalties for Parramatta. 83% completion, played 78% completion. 259 plus running metres and 72 plus post contact metres for Penrith, which was unusual. 5 line breaks to 7. 48 tackle busts, played 39. 12 offloads for Penrith, 13 for Parramatta. 4 forced dropouts to 1. 330 tackles, played 340. 9 errors apiece. 4 penalties conceded to 3. 2 ruck infringements against the Parramatta side. Sivo with 154 Supercoach points, Gutherson with 118, and Cleary with 109. Fired up Paras team. Came out from the very first minute of this game. They're determined to keep the ball alive and attack from the start of the match, get the ball out to the edges, which caused all sorts of problems for the Penrith side. Penrith seemed a little flat, let's be honest.
This was the worst. Let's be honest. No, Penrith. This was probably the worst game they've played in.
Last 3 or 4
3
weeks,
years.
they've probably been sliding a little bit. And, this is hopefully for Penrith the culmination of their slide and they start to build back up again. But, they did seem a little flat. And they seemed to lose a little bit more energy after about 20 minutes as well. They seem to sort of...
I think once the chase was on the table, like, well, who's dragging us out of this?
It sort of went, maybe not. Well, it coincided with Luai going off as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the energy got sucked out of the Penrith team when that happened. Just the physicality out of Parramatta. You saw the likes of Paulo. Cartwright had a massive game again. Hopgood were really physical in the middle of the field. And the constant offloading and ball movement, just making Penrith chase continually. Like they'd get 2 and 3 into a tackle, and then they'd have to get 2 and 3 into another tackle. And neither of those tackles got made, and then someone's chasing someone down the wing.
We've talked so often how Penrith have so many in the right spot at the right time, and this is the right game. That was the right gameplay to offloading and try and get a little bit more broken field is what you need, which allowed Gutho then to dig into the line further.
Well, it's a great way to beat any tide, really.
Of
If you
course.
can obviously drag in a couple of defenders and then keep the ball moving without the tackle being affected, it's a fantastic way to pull a
You
defence
have to say
apart.
what probably Para and Canberra at their best are the two best
Warriors can do it.
Warriors, and obviously Brisbane. Brisbane are obviously very focused through that real middle channel, but they're probably the best at that.
And yeah, kept Penrith constantly on the move, and Penrith were begging for half time. Like Parramatta didn't want it to come, and Penrith really needed the rest coming into that half time break. 22-4 at half time, and Parramatta didn't throw another offload, I don't think, in the second half. I'm pretty sure they just tucked it under the wing and went, we'll just grind this out, go through the middle.
And that's been, I reckon, of those two they did lose against Penrith. That cost them in those other two if they
kept
playing.
going. Yeah. But they did keep up with that energy. They were still coming with plenty of physicality and energy, and they got into the grind. A couple of Penrith's tries were sort of one-on-one misses off Parramatta blokes who had just sort of basically put the game to bed and weren't putting in 100% effort there, and Penrith managed to claw back a couple of tries at the back end of the game, but made the scores probably flutter Penrith a little bit. I thought they probably could have been beaten by a fair bit more, but Parramatta, a fantastic effort to cap off their year.
Well, when Penrith scored when Cleary scored, Cleary scored the last try. It was almost like Parra just knocked that gear up for a bit, got that last try and got out of there with Gutho on one leg and everything.
100%. Yeah, he was hobbling for a long time. He was hobbling at the start of the game and then still hobbling, 60 minutes in and had to be changed.
Is it meniscus or MCL or something like that? I assume it was probably that bad before he started and he's just aggravated it and get through.
One of the big things I did like to see that I saw out of Parramatta was the halves and Gutherson were all sort of playing different positions during the game. Brown and Arcee were continually swapping between 7 and 6, and Gutho would chime in, and he was playing a bit of first receiver. He was playing the centre sweep line, and he was playing a bit of 6 as well. So made him a bit hard to shut down that attacking structure when they were coming to the edges for Penrith as well. So.
Yeah, let's give him his roses. Gutho was amazing in this game.
Absolutely,
it's fantastic. As I said, dug in the line a couple of times to really. And the other thing to point out is it's easy to say, oh, your best teams plug people into positions and do whatever. Structure's hard when all of a sudden for Penrith, they've taken out two blokes that you've taken 550 metres out of their kick returns in Edwards and Taruva.
Yep.
You've then moved Crichton back. You've then put a whole new edge on the side.
Sorensen was out as well.
And Sorensen. So and with all due respect to him, it's effectively a reserve grade edge.
Kenny.
And, they're all individually talented. They're going to be good football players, but they're coming from reserve grade.
Yeah, 100%.
To play. And
not up to the week in, week out of first grade.
They targeted it well and pulled it apart really well. Gutho, as you said, with where they popped up on certain times, Gutho ran back through the middle when it suited, swept twice and threw rainbow balls, dug into the line once for a great ball out to Sivo, who capitalised with his 4 tries. But
he had a night out, Sivo. How funny is it when he sniffs a try, he's the biggest human in the world. Yeah. When nothing's going on, he's very uninterested. The big fella. I thought Fish and Yo were good, as was Peachy. He did miss a couple of important tackles, Peachy, but that happens out in the centres. Martin and Crichton, I thought, had very good games. Crichton looked dangerous at times at fullback, in the fullback position, and Cleary and Jenkins were great. Young Jenkins out in the wing, he looks like a definite prospect for someone. He may end up getting pinched and taken out of this Penrith system just because they've got 1,000 wingers that are floating around.
He's a fullback as well. He's wearing a fullback.
Yeah, okay. So, wouldn't be surprised if some people start sniffing around him after his last couple of performances for this Penrith side. I thought Lussick and Madison were good for the Parramatta side. Cartwright, Hopgood were awesome. And, Jesus. Dylan Brown, Gutherson and Sivo had awesome matches.
Yes, they did. And that's where I was setting the 3 points. 3 to Gutho, 2 to Sivo, 1 to Brown.
Yep, I could argue Cleary for Penrith as well.
Cleary was good.
Everything he touched was very important for Penrith.
Well, he was the be-all. Without him in the field, they don't score a point, and probably concede another couple of tries. So he was. I don't disagree with Honourable mention to Borlo. I thought he had a really good game, but I don't. I'm okay. I'm happy to throw all three to Parra here because
Do that.
that's fine. Ultimately, what I just treat this game as an anomaly. You know, it was what it was. We treat Penrith as what we're going to get in 2 weeks' time, rather than what we get today here or even maybe this weekend.
Coming.
So
Yeah.
that said, at some point there's got to be a tipping point with one of these teams where you can't just rest everyone for 3 weeks and expect them to be firing and fresh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and we've seen in the past where Penrith have
Penrith
had their pants pulled down in a.
Penrith have
Week
set
one.
their standard, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like during Origin time when they had half their team missing, they were still beating up on teams. You know what I mean? So
That's right.
they've set the expectation of what they do, and how they are when they just have to plug and put players in.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell me any of the blokes that went out there would have been going, oh, we had this bloke out, we had this bloke out. They'd all be filthy. That they
No,
lost.
that's all their fans. That's all I've heard from their fans. It's all right,
Like
it's all
Ivan
right.
would be filthy, Nathan would be filthy. Most of that side would be filthy, apart from the young blokes who've just sort of gotten their start. You know, they'd be ecstatic. But yeah, majority of that squad would be filthy on losing to Parramatta.
And I
again.
think even Cleary's post-match comments reflected that. They were filthy. So we'll see what will get served up in a couple of weeks. Great with Parramatta. Good. We'll see them next year now. We will start. How are we going to do this? We're going to start doing bottom 4 reviews in a few weeks.
Yep.
As I said, I wouldn't mind getting some
Different
fans
voices.
and different voices on for that. So whether I even look at bringing on a Parramatta fan next week to talk about Parra specifically, I'll think about it. But we've probably got a bit of... let's get a couple of weeks into finals and wait till the table's a bit clearer.
Yep. Absolutely.
Friday night kicked off with the Warriors and the Dragons 18-16. Tough game.
Scoreboard a bit of a liar in this one. I thought there was both teams did leave points out there, but to me, I thought this was more of a 20 plays sort of 16 effort. I thought the Dragons probably should have scored another 1 or 2.
I think so too. I thought Dragons gave them real crack here, but I'll give my final thoughts at the end. You can do
3
the stats
tries
first.
to 1, 2 out of 3 conversions played, 1 out of 1 for the Dragons.
That breeze just got cold, didn't it, David?
1 out of 1 penalty attempts for the Warriors, 76% completion, played 78% for the Dragons. 472 plus running metres and 174 plus post-contact metres for the Warriors. 4 line breaks to 1, 47 tackle busts for New Zealand, or the Warriors, sorry, 30 for the Dragons. 10 offloads to 4, 1 forced dropout for the Dragons, 335 tackles played, 376, 11 errors to 12, 10 penalties to 7, and 2 ruck infringements against the Dragons. Chance Nickel Clockstab with 89 Supercoach points, Fanua Blake with 84, and Blake Laurie with 76.
He was good, Blake Laurie.
Was very good. Ever since he's been in and around that captaincy position, he's been. He's, let's be honest, he's probably been their best forward for the entire year, minus Jack DeBellin. And
Where's
even
he
then,
gone?
he'd be. I'm pretty sure he copped a knee injury or a hip injury
he did.
or something.
Yeah, he did.
But the Dragons again put in a very big effort in this match, considered, and which would probably piss off a few of their supporters, to be honest, leave a bit of a sour taste in their mouths, considering some of the efforts they put in during this year, and some consecutive efforts. There was 3 and 4 weeks in a row, during the season where the Dragons were just non-existent, basically playing against their opposition, and for them to come out, 3 or 4 weeks in a row and put in big efforts, like still not get the victory, but. That's all you really ask, even if you don't have the best squad, is that you know
100%.
that they're having a crack every week.
Yeah.
So you can put up with a year or 2 if they're having a crack every week. But yeah, the results obviously haven't come either.
I think if you're a Dragons fan, you're entitled to be a little bit happy with what you're seeing from the young blokes.
Oh,
as well.
absolutely.
So
yeah.
you know you can trust your Russells.
Bit of freshness in the back row.
Malheisens and whoever, because I don't think they've signed anyone of note. And unfortunately, we live in a world where you're not going to sign anyone of note if you're down in the bottom 8 anymore.
Probably not.
You've got to either grow your own or try and pick up a scrap from somewhere, and I don't think they have. I know there's a lot of water to go under the bridge. So
Second week in a row, the Warriors have looked tired.
yeah,
Maybe 3, but definitely the last 2, they've looked like a team that needs a bit of a rest. Obviously, a lot of blokes are getting to freshen up this week, which should be an advantage to the Warriors coming into the finals, but. Fantastic effort for them to be where they are.
Yeah,
they've been playing great footy for a big part of the year. after about 20 minutes, it looked like it was just going to be a procession. Like the Warriors scored twice in that first 20-minute period, and it looked like they were just going to go through the motions and win. But the Dragons had some really desperate defence. I think they saved 2 or 3 tries in that, in about a half an hour period, either side of.
And even
half-time.
you talk about flattering the other way. Even if Sloan just grounds a ball and doesn't Sloan about, it's still a 12-6 game.
10-6 or whatever it was.
10-6. Yeah.
Yeah, 10-6, 5 minutes to go, and then, as you said, Sloan around and
Yeah.
tried to pick it up and just completely missed it, and Fanua Blake fell on it, and that was pretty much the end of the game. But Warriors did get exposed a few times of what you've mentioned in the last couple of weeks with their outside backs.
Yeah.
Dragons didn't have too many troubles standing them up a couple of times. That didn't result in points, but they definitely broke them open plenty of times on those edges. And the Warriors relied on a bit of scramble to really, just shut it down and keep them out. But Dragons starting pack held their own. Their bench didn't help the cause though. Their bench was pretty much fucking non-existent. Did very little. And it was similar on the Warriors side. Their bench wasn't fantastic either, but I thought Dan Russell again was very good, as was Michael Molo. Sully had a strong game. One of his better games for the year. Amone was very good. Showed some of those touches that he was putting in at the back end of last year as well. So really needs to develop though. A lot of consistency.
I wonder if he, because obviously he had the issues at start. I wonder if he had a full pre-season or whether he came in.
Maybe not.
I don't know if he did or he didn't. I don't know the rules around that, whether he still did.
Well, he was no fault stand down. No, I think you can you train? Pretty sure
Well,
the Vellum was
know.
still training at certain points.
Yeah, maybe he did.
Anyway.
The only one I can think of was I think Fainu was the Manly Fainu was training before he went away.
Yes, went away. Very good. Laurie was easily.
I could be wrong though. So
Laurie was easily the best Dragon. Egan Walker, Niakore had a very good impact, especially ball in hand. Pompey and Sean Johnson were very good. Tohu, Fanua Blake, and Curran had fantastic performances. They were probably the best.
Tohu was incredible.
Oh, and Chance was brilliant.
Tohu, just what he got through, and if he had a bad back at the time, I think he's had a bad back since he had the other bad thing. He's 34, his body can't be feeling great, but he was phenomenal. He was 40+ tackles, 200 metres, and I had him for the 3. Who did you say?
Chance.
Yes, him for 2, and Fanua Blake for 1.
Fanua Blake for 1. Yeah.
And who's the only Curran you mentioned?
Curran and Laurie, but they're probably notable mentions.
Yeah, I do want to say that I do think, and I was saying, 10 weeks ago that the Warriors could make a grand final. The tank's empty.
Yep.
I'm very interested to see how much they get out of this week off. People need it. Obviously, I'm sure there's more niggles than just Toru in that team.
Yeah.
But they limped past the Titans. They limped past the Tigers. They limped past Manly. All 3 of those games, luck goes the other way, they lose.
Yeah, 100%.
And you could argue here if luck goes the other way, they lose. And I just felt but this was a most I've just thought, like all of those I could forgive to an extent. This was the most I thought, no, I think they're a bit cooked. But they've overperformed. A fantastic season.
Yeah, they were happy to go into their shell and just sort of, slog it out for 45, 50 minutes, which hasn't been their go all year. I think
that's right.
You're pretty right. They're running low on energy.
They're spluttering. Hopefully they get a bit out of this week and we see the best of them in a couple of weeks. But that was my takeaway. I think it's time to say well done, thanks, but move on.
Yeah. Hopefully they get a kick in the ass with the rest in half their side. But
I think so. Well, they need it. We want to see it first. Friday night, the main event, the Storm. No, it wasn't. It was Dolphins, the Cowboys and the Dolphins. Talk about a team gassed out. We saw it again here. Cowboys looked sharp enough. They went into this game with concerns over the. I went in this game with concerns over the Dolphin edge, and they stripped him left. They stripped him right. Then they went back and stripped him right again and stripped him left. But what did the stats say first? And we can talk about
2 tries for the Dolphins, 6 for the Cowboys. 1 out of 2 conversions played, 5 out of 6. A missed 2-point field goal attempt by the Cowboys. 63% completion for the Dolphins, 82% for the Cowboys. 299 plus running metres and 103 plus post-contact metres for the Cowboys. 3 line breaks to 8. 34 tackle busts played 35. 17 offloads to 6. 1 forced dropout for the Dolphins, 2 for the Cowboys. A 40-20 kick by the Dolphins side. 353 tackles played, 311. 13 errors from the Dolphins, 9 from the Cowboys. 4 penalties conceded from both teams. 1 inside the 10 against the Dolphins. And a sin bin for the Dolphins. Kerr with the hip drop. Yeah, pretty fair call, I would imagine. Drinkwater with 124 Supercoach points. Osako with 111. And Labat with 91.
Massive figures for the Cowboys outside backs, as I mentioned. When they stripped them, they made ground. They were physical. They just were better than them. Tuolangi, Piku, Felt all over 200 metres. And Labat, very good, hitting a couple of nice holes for his points along the way, which helped both of us.
Beat 3 or 4 blokes, and both times that he went to the line to score. Very nice footwork and pace for the young fella. Top game for, obviously, in first grade. Dolphins were completely outplayed in the first half in every position on the field, realistically. Low on energy, looked disinterested for big parts of that first half as well. Like, there's just blokes walking, blokes, just watching, expecting the bloke inside him to make the tackle and not really moving. Leaving the job for someone else to do. The forward pack for the Dolphins never really broke even with the Cowboys either. They're pretty well beaten. They did have 3 or 4 strong performers, but there was 5 or 6 average or poor performers in that pack as well. So add that all together, it's not very good. The halves struggled to provide, and errors consistently just broke. Like, anytime they did seem to have a bit of the ball, they just made a mistake.
Yeah,
turned it back to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys made them pay for it. They weren't at their complete best, the Cowboys, but as a squad, they were pretty good. Wallace and Graham had decent efforts from the Dolphins. Aitken and Kafusi, Lemuelu had very nice games as well. But it was probably Hammer and Osako that were the best of the Dolphins. Osako was the standout by a long way. Din's passing game was really good. I thought, and I've seen a lot of halves this year, especially in the Supercoach world, and just in general mentions, not get the plaudits I think they probably deserve. The way that they set up the outside backs, like the guys who finish it are the ones who are getting all the raps, and the one that makes the tackle.
We're quite conscious of that, but we've
like
been a bit of winger sluts lately, I know.
Yeah.
But
the way that Din was getting them into position and choosing and picking and choosing that long ball and short ball.
But what makes us dangerous is when he digs into the line, he can get around and then throw a good or long ball in the line, and then it sets up them to hold back. So then he's got a bit more space and time.
There was another one in a game we'll get to, obviously, when we talk about it, that really nobody mentioned him at all, and he got fuck all Supercoach points, but I thought he was brilliant in the game we played.
And write in and tell us through all our mediums, X and Threads and the YouTube and wherever else we are.
Old man Facebook.
We might, for shits and giggles, have a crack at NRL Fantasy next year and see what that brings us.
Yeah, why not?
Well, just interesting because I know
they do provide a lot more points for
and,
kicking
and defensive work, and like your base is lower, but your meter output's higher. I think.
Yeah, infield kicking's a big one.
That sort of thing,
they do put towards it as well.
Yeah.
But Dearden's passing game was very good. Robson, Leilua, Tuolangi all had good games. Lukey and Cotter were the best of the Cowboys. They were, of the forwards, they were fantastic. Finney Fuinaki, very good. Only played about 20 minutes, but what about that flick pass when he got through the line to put points on the try assist? Labat was awesome, and Drinkwater was he was the one that iced it, everything else.
Yeah.
So he was the guy putting blokes away to score the tries. I had him with the 3 points. I gave Labat 2. I thought his performances were brilliant. Maybe not as much work as some of the other outside backs, but some beautiful footwork and finishing to score those tries. And I think you have to give Osako 1 point from
absolutely.
The Dolphins.
Both his tries were great individual efforts and did a mountain of other work. At times he's nearly any bloke on the field. It feels like him and Hammer. So
Yeah,
terms of
they're going to
offering
run,
anything.
13th, 14th. He's going to be the top point scorer, top try scorer. Well, very close. It's going to be.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
coming down to a race at the moment, but he's leading both at the moment.
I
So
think he's all but got the tries wrapped up now. So, and he's another. There's been a lot of good stories this year, and he was
And you could see
front
it.
and centre for a while, but
Yeah.
he should be considered a great story because him and Sean Johnson.
Yes.
And we'll talk about them when we get into our reviews.
Dallin was looking good.
Dallin,
12 months ago.
dead and buried. Yeah.
But Asako was. You could see it coming through the Broncos squad.
Yeah.
He had the skills, he had the talent, but he was so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And
And he went to Titans at
then
that
he
game
ended
where
up
he just
getting
tore the
pushed out.
Brisbane team apart, and that was it. And we didn't. Yeah.
But it's fantastic. So Drinkwater 3, Laybutt 2, Asako 1.
I'm okay with that. And yeah, honourable mention, I think Hiku still had a good game. I sort of threw him out the other week. He was very good. Did, and yeah, you've covered it all off. What I take away from this is I'm sort of doubling down on what I said a month ago about I'm worried about where the Dolphins are going to be this time next year. Because you see how tired some of the K's and some of these legs now.
Yeah.
What fresh blood. And we haven't seen any.
No.
Harrison Graham, I guess, is it.
Yeah, but they don't really need, unless they're going to push him into the back
he's
row.
Only covering, he's only there because Jerry Marshall
only
King's
covering
not.
hooker.
Yeah,
they need
what
front
is being
rowers and
brought
back
to the
rowers.
table here by anyone, at least even with a Tigers and a Bulldogs, you can go and name a Blake Wilson, you can name a Pole, you can name a. They've found something this year.
Well, they have started from scratch, obviously, and
I know, I absolutely understand that.
I do expect them to bring probably 7 or 8 people into their squad coming into next year,
Yeah.
unless they do have some younger talent that they've signed up
Yeah.
and is waiting in the wings. But I'd be very surprised if they don't add 6, 7, 8 blokes to that roster going into
I
next
know,
year.
and they got Flegler and
Herbie.
so they're not bad. They're not bad things.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Anyway, and Cowboys, they play Penrith this week. We'll see what happens. Whatever. Answering all the trivia questions off air as we get to Saturday afternoon, where the Storm took on the Titans, beat the Titans, and
Unconvincingly, but did beat them.
and my notes say Harry Grant is good at the football. That's all I wrote for this game. What did the stats say, though?
6 tries to 3, 5 out of 6 conversions, 2 out of 3 for the Titans, 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for the Storm, and 1 out of 1 field goal attempts from one Cameron Munster. 81% completion, played 84%, 300 plus running metres for the Storm, 8 line breaks to 7, 43 tackle busts, played 36, 11 offloads to 18, 1 forced dropout to 3, 298 tackles played, 299, 9 errors to 6. 7 penalties conceded to 9, 3 ruck infringements against the Storm, 2 against the Titans, 1 inside the 10 against both sides. Brian Kelly with 97 Supercoach points, Xavier Coates with 89, and Cameron Munster with 87.
It was unconvincing. I thought
Titans were tough.
Titans were, again, as they have been since old mate got sacked, they've been physical, up for the contest, and made them work very hard, at least start with. Where do you want to start with this game, though? Where do you want to start?
Yeah,
Sorry.
an hour into the match, there's only 2 points in this game. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
That's a really good effort from the Titans to keep it as close as they did. 20 minutes to go, Harry Grant starts buzzing around dummy half. and has 2 lovely try assists, one with a little short ball to Christian Welsh and a little grubber inside for Katoa, and that basically put this game to bed. It's just that one of those things. Melbourne, they're just one of those teams that they will hang in, even when they're not playing their best, and then you give them a couple of opportunities, and they cash in on them. It's why they're in the top 4 majority of years. It's why they're always pushing for a premiership at this time of the year. When they're not playing great, they find a way to cash in on those opportunities, and they just seem to be able to create points better than a majority of teams in the competition, whether it's Munster, Hughes, or Gary Grant.
At their best, them and Salves are the two that just need that shot, just need everything to click, and all of a sudden there's 6, all of a sudden there's 12.
Yeah, 100%. Xavier Coates had a brilliant game. One of the highlights of the game was that the jump and the catch over the top of, I think it was his opposition winger, and then he streaks away and beats 2 or 3 blokes to score next to the post. That was a lovely bit of play off a Munster kick there. the Storm did get pushed in the middle of the field. Titans really took it to them in the middle of the field, and they got stretched on the edges as well a couple of times. Brian Kelly had probably the best game of his life. The best thing that I saw out of him was he took the ball like a second rower, ran straight into 3 blokes, and then got an offload away, and then they managed to score off the back of it. So that was there. But he was really up for the fight in this game. Had a very good game. Again, it was the bench. The bench from the Titans really struggled. They did very little. The Storm was very similar, except for Bronson Garlick, who was really good off the bench. But the other 3 really didn't add much at all coming into the game once the forward rotation got in there. So, but you know, the entire.
I will just say, for the sake of saying it, was good to see Pappenhausen back on the field.
Yeah,
and it's good to see him not. He had the second hit up.
Yeah,
once he got back out there.
He was playing as a 13, really.
13, exactly.
Yeah. And he wasn't scared to run into the line, but you know. Limited minutes, not a huge
we're
impact.
Not taking it out of
you know
it,
what I mean?
Saying it's good. I think he had the first touch, and then he had took the next hit up, and
then 2 in the next set. I'm pretty sure it was
okay,
as well.
Cool. I think just for him as much as anyone.
Just following everyone around in support.
Yeah.
So the entire starting side for the Storm were very good. Like I don't think there was anyone in that starting side that wasn't good. AJ and Jojo were okay for the Titans. They popped up a couple of times and were threatening with the ball in their hand. Jolliffe and Cleese Haas were good. They did a good job in the middle of the field for the Titans. Tino and Randall were very strong again. That Randall, just need to find him a position. I know they were playing him at dummy half last year, but I think he needs to find whether he plays second back rower or even the bench, but they need to increase his minutes a little bit, I think, because every time he's been given 50 or 60 minutes, he has a big impact on the game for the Titans. So
if you had a bigger forward pack, you could almost run him as a lock and try and play him as a McGuinness type.
Yeah.
But and you've got Tino, Mo, and Fafita there, so it's not like you have.
But even if they do use him as a 14,
you could use him as a 14.
They've got to give him more minutes.
He's got to play an hour.
Yeah.
I think God, he's very good in defence, but his creativity in the last, what has it been? Since old mate got injured.
7-8 weeks.
Has been very good. He's been one of the better points of attack too.
Yep. Kelly had a great game, as I mentioned. Warwick, Seve and Grant were very good. Nelson and Welch had a pretty good game in the middle of the field and were probably the reason that the Titans didn't dominate the middle of the field, really. Meany, Katoa, Munster and Hughes were outstanding. They were the 4 big players for them. And Coates had a brilliant game as well. Obviously cashed in on probably 2 easy tries, but created at least 1 easy try. But the other 2 he had to really work for. So I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, okay. I was giving Harry 3 because I can. But what were you thinking?
I thought Harry only really got involved for 10 minutes, to be honest. Like, okay. I know he did a bit of tackling.
I thought when he came on, but even when he came on, because he started slow again, when he came on, they started looking much better.
Yes.
With his service was outstanding, as it always is, and opened up. That's when it started to open a bit more. But I know what you're saying.
He got those 2 tries. I thought Coates and Munster on that left edge were the big reason that the Storm were able to get points early in the game.
And something, only because we probably never mention him, but Seve, since he's come back, has been fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Physical, breaking holes. You see why they're stuck with him for the times they have. And I think he's added something back here in a team that didn't have a lot of other points of attack until he came back, really.
Because I thought probably the first 50 minutes of this game, it was Hughes and Munster that were the 2 that were really controlling the game in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
Munster opened up that left edge a couple of times with Coates and... I think it was Seve out on that left edge as well, wasn't it? And he was the one that was getting the ball out there and getting them into positions.
It gives Munster that bit of space because he's got the opportunity.
And he throws the dummy and then goes through.
Or he doesn't mind doing the sweep, the fullback sweep when Ned gets a bit of a pop up, and he's so dangerous with space.
Made a couple of line breaks and all the rest of it. I didn't even have Grant for a point, to be honest. But
let me think about this. So you going Munster?
I had Coates. I think it was 3 or 4 tries. 2 of them were just individual brilliance to get them points when they really needed them.
Tries.
And then it was Munster with the big break down the left-hand edge to create a try for
he kicked that ball for Coates too, didn't he?
He did.
All right, that's fine.
Then I had Hughes, Katoa or Brian Kelly for the 1. I think if Hughes stays on for the entire game, I'll probably end up giving him the 3 points. But I think the injury probably cost him.
Meany was good too, actually. Just to throw that out.
Throw
They're all good. They're all
Harry
good
in
out.
for the
Yeah.
1 point.
Walsh was good. All right. No, go with Brian Kelly.
Coates, Munster, Brian Kelly.
No, yeah, Coates, Munster, Brian Kelly. You happy if Melbourne are out? They just bring what they're going to bring to a final. That you're going to bring intensity. If they don't get bashed out of the game, they're going to make you beat them.
I think they're going to get stretched. There'll be
But here's the thing: who's actually going to stretch anymore apart from the two obvious?
Yeah, Warriors will give them a good stretch as well. But Munster at that spine at their best
absolutely
could blow teams off
and that's
the field
what they
as
do.
well.
If they can nurse there and get there. Yeah, okay. Do you have anything else to say? Move on.
Not particularly.
We get to... Do you have much to say about this game? Roosters and... Did they get a 48 in the end? Jesus. Glad I don't remember that.
32 to 8,
I'm
wasn't it?
No, the girls got beat 48.
The girls.
God, yeah. It was also promising there. Gosh. 32 to 8. 1 try to 5.
Excuse me, 5 tries to 1, 5 out of 5 conversions for the Roosters, 1 out of 1 for the Tigers. And 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for each side. 72% completion, played 73%. 478 plus running metres and 95 plus post-contact metres for the Roosters. 8 line breaks to 3, 38 tackle busts to 31, 10 offloads to 5, 3 forced dropouts to 2, 351 tackles played 330, 12 errors to 15, 9 penalties conceded to 5, 2 ruck infringements to 1, and 1 inside the 10 against the Roosters. And a sin bin for the Roosters. Suali'i with 128 Supercoach points, Cheese with 90, and then 4 other players before you got down to Bateman for the Tigers on 63.
Yep.
Seemed to...
Oh, look, Tigers are in this game for a good 30-something minutes.
A lot of it was both teams really struggled to start the game. They were just trading error after error. One team would fuck up, the other team would fuck up. And
This is every Tigers game we've seen this year. They almost dominated field position for a good 15 minutes. Then they went back the other way for a bit. Neither team could capitalise. Appy's playing 3 spots in the spine these days, so it's not easy on him.
Got blown away in the last half an hour.
But you could tell after that, you just knew after that Tupou try. It's like you could feel those 2 sets there. Walker clicked, and they were just Jared and go, okay, if we just spread the ball, get everyone back involved, we're going to score. And that's what happened. It was like
100%.
I think even Vossi's call was like something like, "Oh, the gears just changed." It was something like that. But you could feel it. I remember watching this going, "Here we go,
we're done."
That was it. It was it.
Yeah. It's a bit of a hard watch at times, especially in that first half with a lot of niggly shit and the constant mistakes. The big difference was the ability for the Roosters to break the Tigers' defensive line. Like the way they were able to get the ball out wide and expose some of the frailties out there from the Tigers' defensive line was the main difference that I thought. And the Tigers just didn't look like they were going to break the line for the majority of the game. Like they were getting through their work and doing what they needed to do in the middle, but they didn't look to cause the Roosters many problems whatsoever.
We talk about the spine all the time, and Appy and Buller being in 2 points of attack, if you even count them as 2, before like 2 good players, obviously. But
yes,
they actually need to go and find they don't have outside backs either. They are a long way from being. Their forward back's fantastic, great.
Well, young Riley scored the first try, and he looks like he's got a little bit about him.
He's playing again, and we're seeing Faladi this week, who has got all the spruiks through the junior reps and junior underage. But they need to fill those holes.
Yeah, absolutely they do. I thought Keary was massive in this game for the Roosters. He was the one I was mentioning earlier. Got very, very little mentions and no Supercoach points, but the way he was shooting that ball out to the edges to get the centres and the wingers involved, and they've only got him down for 2 try assists. I don't know how the fuck he got put down for 2 try assists. The bloke had 3 or 4 minimum. Like the kick off the post, he got given 1, and the cutout where I think he hit Tupou to score.
So who got the
They gave him to the inside.
Look,
Billy Smith, the tap on, I kind of understand, but he doesn't get put in that position without the lovely ball that Keary threw. And yeah, there was others, but
fair enough. There's only 5 tries, but yeah, that's fine.
But yeah,
fair commentary.
I thought he was massive in this
But what
game.
he's understood finally in his last 6 weeks is he needs to get fresh early ball to the best backline, arguably one of the best. I don't want to upset anyone in the competition.
Well, a lot of the earlier season, he was running for the sake of running and getting too close to the defence.
That's what they all were doing.
He's just jagging it out there.
It was almost like the directive from Robbo was, Jesus, let's all play
Into the
direct.
line,
And now everyone played direct and no one went anywhere else.
Like he's good when he does it at times, and his running game is very good. But sometimes you just got to get it out, give blokes one-on-one chances, or even get them on the outside or inside shoulder of someone, and then back them to do their job. I thought his passing was very good to get him into position. Riley was the best of the back five for the Tigers. Stefano, Appy and Papali'i all had very good games again, as they do. Bateman was the best of the Tigers. Lindsay Collins, Wong and Billy Smith all had good games, I thought, for the Roosters. Walker, if Riley doesn't score that first try, I get Walker at $22. God damn it.
I know.
What do you do? He scored the first one for the Roosters. But, Walker, May, Nat Butcher were very strong. Radley and Keary, I thought, were great. I thought they were probably the two, minus Suoli was the best player on the field. 200-odd metres, tackle busts all over the place. Looked at home at fullback.
Played like a fullback.
Yeah. Well, we got put there for 50 minutes or whatever it was.
I know, got flattered by these geeks, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I had Suoli for the 3, I had Keary for the 2, and then I had either Bateman or Radley for the 1.
It was a game he needed to produce in a game like this to, I guess, keep a few people quiet. It's funny now all of a sudden, now he puts out a performance like you don't hear much about it. I mean, people are happy to slap, as we do.
Yep.
But at least we make a point, or I do, of turning around and saying, well, he showed me this week.
He was throwing people around. He was carving through holes, footwork, and, physicality. I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah. So go those numbers again.
Suoli 3, Keary with the 2, and I had Bateman or Radley for the 1.
Give it to Victor. It's fine. I don't think as good as John Eyre has been, I don't think we deserve any points.
Fair enough.
29-18, the Broncos beat the Raiders in a game that was, I'm told, and Michelle was much closer. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't.
It wasn't.
But, but if certain sin bins are done and this, that, and the other, like...
Fuck off.
3 tries to 6. People watch different footy to me.
3 tries to 6, 2 out of 3 for the Raiders, conversions, and 2 out of 6 for the Broncos. 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for Canberra, 1 out of 1 field goal attempt for Brisbane. 78% completion, played 72%, 529 plus running metres, and 134 plus post-contact metres. Didn't write down who it was for. I'm assuming it was the Broncos.
Who?
Running metres and post-contact
running
metres.
metres was 184 for Herbie, Jack 140.
No, total. Anyway.
You want post-contact?
4 line breaks to 9.
Talk amongst yourselves.
36 tackle busts to 40. 11 offloads to 9. 2 out of 2 forced dropouts from both teams. 334 tackles. Played 253 for the Broncos. 9 errors to 13. 7 penalties conceded to 4. 4 ruck infringements to 3. And a sin bin for Canberra. Walsh with 141 Supercoach points. Cobbo with 118. And Elliot Whitehead with 102.
He's pretty good, Whitehead. Herbie, 86 post-contact.
No, I just wanted the totals for the sides.
Oh,
who won the running metre battle. I'm pretty sure it was
Ford,
Brisbane.
79 to Canberra, 613 to Brisbane. That's what you wanted.
Yes, correct.
Who was the fullback performance of the round? Was it Reece Walsh, and why?
Because he's good at footy.
Thank you. All right, we'll see everyone next week.
He's electric. Just the way he lines
up.
up.
Just rating him or Ponga this
with
week.
His footwork. Pretty sure it was Walsh. Yeah. Ponga was good, but a lot of the work was done outside of him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Threw a couple of nice passes. There was a couple of beautiful runs, but Walsh, half of Brisbane's, or 3/4 of Brisbane's points don't come if Walsh isn't out on the field, I think, in this game. So I thought he was brilliant. Just as you were mentioning there before, I'm sick of Ricky Stewart coming out after getting a couple of 50-50 calls and then blowing up like a fucking 4-year-old having a tantrum. Seriously, you were...
Especially for a team, I don't really feel this, but you're right.
let me
There wouldn't
finish.
even been a fucking... Anyway, sorry. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, fucking Ricky, you're an absolute fucking pinhead. Like, you scored 0 tries to 3 in the second half. Maybe that was the fucking reason you lost the game of football. Because you let them score 3 tries and you fucking scored none. Like, might have had something to do with the reason that you fucking lost. Seriously. For a team that's scraped by 2 points for fucking 10, 12 games, you can't tell me there 4 or 5 of them wasn't fucking gifted to them.
I can tell you 2 of them.
That weren't gifted to the Raiders off fucking bad calls to the opposition. But he blows up. And you watch the fucking penalty count this week against Cronulla. You fucking watch what happens because Ricky's come out and had another one of his fucking tantrums. I don't even think he got fined, did he?
No. They apologised. They
Yeah,
apologised.
Fucking peanut. Anyway.
No, they apologised because he said fuck off or something. And
Yeah, because he swore at the cameraman.
Yeah.
And then the cameraman came out today and says, I'm glad I finally caught it because he does it pretty much every fucking week.
yeah, but then Crawley turned around and apologised. Said, well, we shouldn't have been in his face.
Fuck me. Anyway, like, yeah, I just wish he'd turn around. Have you ever... I can't remember the last time I've heard him turn around and go, well, we weren't good enough. Like, we...
no, he did because he walked out of the press conference after.
Yeah, that was a couple of weeks
He
ago
walked
where
in
they
and
got
said,
thrashed.
we're fucking shit,
Yeah.
and got up and walked out.
Yeah, but how often does that happen? Whitehead had the best game I think I've ever seen him play in the NRL. He was fantastic, especially in that first half. Couple of beautiful runs and offloads and passing that led directly to tries for the Canberra team. I don't think I've ever seen him play that well. Off what I saw in Whiten defensive efforts at centre, South might want to backflip out of this fucking contract rather than Whiten backflipping because he was fucking atrocious in defence. He was a big part of the reason Canberra lost this game. They came down that edge. I know Croker went off early and he got thrown into that centre position, but his defence was fucking disgraceful out there. They left blokes left, right, and centre. I think he got beaten 3 times directly for tries. Like, he was good with the ball in his hand. Like, he made a lot of tackle busts. He did a lot of running. He was strong with the ball, but his defence was fucking deplorable.
He's much closer to being a lock than a centre these days. He's still got a tackle there, but at least he's in a channel where he can...
And obviously he's thrown in there. He hasn't defended there for fucking since, Origin a year and a half ago. But
yeah, but he defended a whole World Cup and looked like the greatest centre of all time.
Yeah, true.
Admittedly, and this is what people underplay, World Cup football is a drop down from...
Reece Walsh running at you with Katoni Staggs and fucking Cobbo over on that right edge.
People carry on about it. Apart from New Zealand, England and Australia, which international teams would even beat an NRL team? But that's a different story.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 or 4 times he just got completely beaten. That led directly to tries. Walsh was brilliant. You already mentioned that.
Before anyone writes and he gets angry, the Samoa round will be all right. But I know. You know what I mean? You get my thing. I don't think Lebanon's beating fucking Panthers next week.
Yeah, Walsh was brilliant, as was the hit from Tapane on Walsh when he decided to use him as a crash.
I watched it back again today.
I've seen it about 20 times. He decided to use Reece Walsh's body as a crash test dummy and absolutely flog the shit out of him when he was hobbling around with cramps with a minute to go. And absolutely, I love Reece Walsh's response. So fucking, probably deserved it.
Yeah.
Fuck around and find out.
Yep. Exactly, he took it well.
And Tapane fucking made him find out. He'd probably be, I'd say he'd still be pretty sore today after that hit. It's one of the biggest hits I've seen for a long time. It was probably the highlight of the game, really. Canberra were tough for an hour, 50, 60 minutes, as they generally are. And they were probably as good as Brisbane in the first half, if not maybe better. If they had another creative player out there, they'd probably go in front by a try or 2 at halftime.
Yeah, let's not underplay the fact that this was Canberra's best game in 6 weeks, maybe longer.
They just don't have the creative opportunities in their spine. Like, it normally comes off a Fogarty kick or a big forward throwing an offload or just a straight barge over from Hudson Young or Corey Horsburgh or Papali'i or something like that. But they just don't have enough creative ball players in this Canberra side. And that's another reason that they didn't get away with the game, because then you look back on the other side of it, there was some really nice assists off Walsh with his passing game. Ezra Mam, they'd be pretty disappointed with that try. The 2 forwards just sort of standing there and he just busts straight through them, and 6 points is a big difference in a game, as close as this one, where that one probably should have been stopped.
And all of Selwyn's tries, he had work to do, and he beat multiple blokes who had no particular interest.
He's a fucking superstar, man.
Yeah.
But if you've got him in your team, you just feed him the ball as often as you possibly fucking can.
Yeah.
And it helps with Staggs out there as well because he draws attention with the way he runs that fucking super hard line running out there at centres and takes away a bit of the pressure. But yeah, that right edge is probably close to one of the best edges in the competition.
The best right edge.
When you get Walsh floating out there and you got opportunities to hit Ricky, Staggs and Cobbo.
I guess we're going to find out in terms of right edges. We have Crichton, 2-0, Cleary,
Martin.
They're the two best, and it's no coincidence. Left edge is a longer list, but a lot of those left edges aren't playing.
Sharks have got one, but it hasn't been, they're a hit and miss this year, but you got Ramey and Katoa and Nakora out there on that right edge, which has been pretty good. Yeah, so get into the players, I guess. The best of the back five was probably Kotrick for the Raiders. As I said, Whiten was good with the ball in his hand, but his defence was horrible. Horsburgh, Tapane had very good games. The halves were okay. Didn't create quite enough, but they did their job. And Whitehead was brilliant. Palacia, Haas, Jensen worked hard in the middle of the field. But the Broncos seemed to stay away from the middle a little bit for mine. I think their plan was definitely to get to the edges and attack those edges from the Raiders. The halves were a little quiet. Staggs had some nice touches. Flegler and Cobbo were great. And, Walsh was man of the match, easily.
I wonder if long-term... I know Horsburgh's a fantastic clean-out man, a fantastic... I won't see him again this year. But he's really getting into all the dirty dog stuff. Not so much the dirty dog stuff, but the dirty stuff in the middle to clean up everyone's mess. He's been great at it. I wonder if they're better off trialling Tapane back at 13 just to create a bit more space and maybe try and make him a Feliti Mateo, someone like that can just be rangy, and a John Sutton, someone like that, just a more, not so much a ball player, but someone's going to have ball, like if you stick around him, he can create something.
He's got a little bit of a pass in him, but definitely that second phase opportunity.
Something like that. I think when you don't have the others, that's maybe something. And that's not in any way a knock on Horsburgh, because I don't suggest that, because he's been...
And Horsburgh on an edge might get him out of that little bit of extra aggressive stuff that he gets. He seems to get himself in trouble with a little bit.
He's been a fairly good boy lately.
And he can target, some of the smaller bodies out wide, I guess. But
it was just a random thought, as I'm prone to throw out. Walsh, you said, yes, I agree. Cobbo too?
No, I had Whitehead for 2. I thought what he did for the Canberra side, especially in that first half, was brilliant. And as I said, best game I think I've ever seen him play in the NRL. And then I had Cobbo or Flegler for the one.
I'm going with Cobbo, but just touch on Flegler quickly. He's had a good year.
Yeah, absolutely has. And he's obviously got the starting position now. I think he was in and around the Origin.
Yeah,
he played Origin.
Played Origin. But he started off the bench here, but now he's
cemented himself
starting.
as somebody who probably should be starting week in, week out.
Absolutely.
Fantastic in defence. He's so hard to stop with ball in the hand as well. He's got an offload that we probably don't see as often as we should. But it's
funny,
the way they play their football. But
some of Hudson
Young.
Elliot Whitehead stuff that he did, I was like, fuck, that's weird that Hudson Young's on the other side of there's a few of those sort of touches or where he broke play. So I'm okay with 2 to Whitehead. So.
Yeah, Flegler was super strong in the middle, and he showed up some of his I thought he was the best front rower on the field, realistically. He showed up the likes of Tapane, Papali'i, obviously got injured, but Payne Haas as well. I just thought he worked his absolute backside out and was fantastic.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, agree.
Cobbo or Flegler?
Cobbo. If it had been catching falls, I wouldn't have, but they were all
100%.
Outstanding tries. And we live in a world now where you've got to respect wingers for that. If you don't have wingers that can
especially
do that...
when you're busting 3 or 4 tackles to get to the line.
If you don't have wingers, or at least one winger that can do that, you're behind the pace again now. When you look through, what Azarko's produced, what Dallin's produced, what Cobbo's produced, Marzu, Young...
Mulatalo at his best.
Bizza, Anyway, 42-24 Sunday kicked off in this game.
So I was wondering what you were going to use there.
Well, it was a game of footy.
It was a game of footy. 4 tries to 7, 4 out of 4 conversions for the Dogs, 6 out of 7 for Manly, 1 out of 1 penalty attempt for Manly. 76% completion, played 79%, 107 plus running metres and 118 plus post-contact metres for the Manly side. 5 line breaks to 12, 27 tackle busts for the Dogs, 44 for Manly. 12 offloads to 4, 1 forced dropout to 2. A 40-20 for the Manly side, 308 tackles played, 245. 10 errors apiece, 5 penalties conceded to 6, 1 ruck infringement against both sides, 2 inside the 10 against the Manly team. DCE with 146 Supercoach points, Cooler with 125, and Blake Wilson with 119. And Corey Waddell got to 104.
So I'm just realising that... just reading this quick scan through. Apparently a Canterbury Bulldogs players walked out of the club, but it doesn't tell me who.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Okay, for the first 10 minutes and probably the last 25 minutes of this match, but the whole gap in the middle was woeful at times. Manly were very good for the majority of the game. Dogs looked decent when they held the ball and got it out to their wingers, like young Wilson and Josh Adokar had a couple of really nice moments where they broke into the backfield against the Manly side. Didn't lead to a lot. A couple of times it did, but they were good when they got it out there.
To quote the Gump, Blake Wilson's the only bloke I'd feed from this Canterbury team. He was fantastic here. He a bit even lucky he almost scores 2 or 3 tries himself.
Yeah,
should have set up a couple. I know Reed carried on about the one he but Reed overran that. That was a bad read
Very
from
good
Reed.
footwork.
But
strong pace.
He looks, as I said, I've liked him since I've seen him, and he was great for them. The problem for them is they've just got no middle, or either no intent to be a middle. Some of these blokes, even the big boys that now are back, they're just not interested. Kick-out looks barely above interested.
Yep.
I could almost suggest he couldn't get back to Penrith quick enough. I wouldn't be shocked if he's fucking playing finals for Penrith next year when they...
Well, big parts of the game, the defence from the Bulldogs was the gate, and the gate was open.
Yeah.
Like there was blokes just fucking careering through the middle of the field, and blokes grabbing jerseys and slapping them on the back as they run past them. Like it was atrocious.
Some of those front row tries, the Sipley one. Admittedly, the Sipley one, I was sitting over there.
He's been in great form for the last month.
Great. I was sitting there and I heard the call from the ground. It was forward and no one seemed to care.
Yeah, I heard that too.
But no one seemed to care. But they, what they did really well is they went into the line Manly and scored a really nice just short in and out balls. Like went in, Olakau'atu changed the angle back a couple of times, DCE. Magic at it. His kicking was supreme, but it just pulled them apart. And once they were pulled, they had no interest in trying to put themselves back together.
No.
It was it was fun to watch. It was easy to watch as a supporter, but it was soft football, to be honest.
Manly clocked off with 20 minutes to go. There was a couple of those tries were pretty good from the Dogs actually at the back end of the game, where they there was a lot of ad-lib footy and the ball being tossed around in the outside backs to create holes and opportunities for some guys, but
Flanagan actually came on and offered a bit of a point of attack that complemented Sexton and Reed a little bit, and just being able to offer out the back and move stuff around. So that they did score the last 2 tries, but it made them look a little bit better. So I still don't know what that means. Now they're going to. I don't want to suggest perhaps you try those 2 together and Burton or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
the forward battle was okay. Probably Manly shaded them in the middle of the field. Defensively was completely opposites. But
Sipley owned him. Olakau'atu was good, but Olakau'atu was good in not his usual way, more of some nice sleight of hand. He had his moments, but the rest of them, I thought it was about on par. It was about on par.
The Manly side decided that they were going to go wide and they were going to crucify the edges of. Was more the edge of the ruck where the opportunities came and then they finished it out wide. Cooler and Saab in full flight is an absolute fucking thing to watch. I absolutely love seeing those 2 blokes hit their full pace. And Cooler looked as quick as I've seen him all year.
Yeah.
A couple of times here playing at fullback, being offered opportunities to get on the outside of people and just absolutely left them standing still as he ran past them.
It's amazing to have someone like Saab when you make a early field break and you know you got him inside.
He's just motoring along on the inside.
And I think the first try, like he had to run for about 2 steps. He ran and went, I'll run one more step, and then. But yeah, I'm the same. There's something about that excites me.
The creative matchup was won by a million miles by DCE and Croker again. Very good with his sleight of hand out of dummy half and positioning his forwards into half holes, and if they're good enough, they break it open and go flying through the middle.
Yep.
So
Very clever 40-20 along the way.
Absolutely. What did we have here? I thought King, Averillo and Sexton were good for the Dogs. Wilson was their best, as you said, and Waddell was a bit of a standout in the middle of the field. He really had a crack in this game. Vega and Bullymore were decent for the Manly side. They both put in a decent shift. Olakawatu and Croker had very good games. Sipley and Cooler were fantastic, but it was the DCE show. He had it on a string. He was the one that was throwing the balls that put the guys into space consistently throughout this game, and I'm pretty sure he would have been assisting pretty much every line break that Manly set up in this game. And his kicking game's always top shelf.
Kick game top shelf, and his clever running, chiming in, scored himself a try, didn't it? Or was it disallowed? He did score.
He did score, yeah.
He was fantastic. 3 to him, 2 to Cooler.
Yep.
1 to Sipley.
Or Wilson in a beaten side.
I know. I'm really, really tempted. Who cares? Give it to Wilson. It's not going to cost anyone a...
That might have been Sipley's only point for the year.
It might,
no, I think we gave him one a couple of weeks back.
And he has been very good.
Especially the last month.
Interesting to see where... I assume DC is going to be halfback of the year by a landslide when we get to our Daggy Emma. We've got that award show coming up too.
SJ.
Oh, shit, yeah. Won't be a landslide because SJ will probably win the whole lot. DC runs top 4, I reckon. There you go.
They gave 1-2, I'm pretty sure.
Be really close because Paynehouse missed a chunk.
He'll be up there still.
I'm just trying to think. With no prior knowledge. Paynehouse will be up there. Carrigan will be up there. Walsh will be up there.
Tohu would have a few points. Fanua Blake would have a few.
Tohu gets lots of
but
ones
they take
and
a few
twos.
off each other.
I don't think we see any Penrith players up there.
Nico's would have had a fair few man of the matches, but
Nico,
he wouldn't be at the top.
He's probably got 30 points from his 10 matches this year. So
He's only missed 4 games.
Anyway, he's probably up
But
there.
I don't even think he gets 30. He's been left out a few times and had 1s and 2s here and there. So.
Do you want to get straight into this? You want to be
dare
before
say
you get
it's
into
SCG. SJ.
You want to be before you get into this one?
SCG. Yes.
All right, he's stacked up. He's got his tall boy there, and
Sculled half a bottle or something.
we will get to
We'll talk about it.
32-6. This happened.
Did.
The Sharks got dismantled by another top 8 team, David.
Did. 6 tries to 1, 4 out of 6 conversions, played 1 out of 1 for Cronulla. 85% completion, played 66% completion, which is probably an indicator. 517 plus run metres and 178 plus post-contact metres for the Newcastle. 9 line breaks to 2, 61 tackle bust, played 28. Miss 61 tackles and see how you go winning a game of footy. 9 offloads to 5, 3 forced dropouts to 0, 322 tackles played 441. 7 errors to 14, 3 penalties conceded to 8, 1 inside the 10 against the Sharks. Ponga with 128 Supercoach points, Clune with 105. Then you had 4 other players before you got to Connor Tracy on 71 for the Cronulla side. First half an hour, there's a lot of attack thrown from both sides. Some really good opportunities created, and probably 4 or 5 tries saved in that first half an hour. From at least 3 from the Sharks and 1 or 2 from the Newcastle side.
The thing is, my first block of notes was wrapping the Sharks' attack because I really like, and I've said it before, what Trindle and Tracy have brought to the team. They're much more direct. They hit some nice holes, and as you say, they saved 2 or 3 tries there. That on another day they score, and it's a different game altogether. So I just want to make a quick point of doing that, and I'm going to let you back.
The Sharks also pulled Dominic Young over the sideline twice, and there was another one that they held up close to the line. So this could have been 30 plays 20 at half time or something similar. But it was 6-6 at half time, and both teams scrambled really well in that first half.
Intensity was good. It felt like a proper game.
They were belting into each other. It was a very good game in the first half at least. Big turning point for mine, I thought, was when Nakora was denied by his own forearm. Obviously, probably a bit biased as a Shark supporter, but when you go down with the ball flat on your forearm and the forearm lands flat on the in-goal line, and that tiny bit of ball couldn't fucking find a bit of grass. He held up by his own forearm, and then he ends up dropping the ball over the line. All the energy seemed to go out of the Sharks, and they just sort of, it seemed to me like they just went, fuck, this isn't our night. Newcastle kicked it up a gear and really started to control the field possession and the ball possession and field position. Sharks felt like for the next 60 minutes they were running off their line. Like for an hour, all they were doing is picking the ball up in the corner and trying to get to the end of the set.
I can't say the worst because there are worse teams in them, but when they get tied, their gaps get big.
Yeah.
Whatever their structure is, and we saw it through that flat spot whenever it was 12 weeks ago, where that sort of 2-3 pairs out. There was just gaping holes, just like wounds opening up, and we saw this is the first time I've seen it since then.
Guess what? Coincides with Moylan coming back into the fucking side. Got absolutely burned by Ponga and added pretty much fuck all in either side of the ball. Like. He wasn't running, he wasn't passing, he was basically did a couple of kicks, and his defence is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the speed to cover the gaps on either shoulder. His inside shoulder's fucked. Yeah. So as soon as you run on his inside shoulder, you just blow that apart. And on his outside shoulder, he's not quick enough to stop people anymore. Yeah. So if you get on his outside shoulder, he's good luck. He's probably not going to chase you down and tackle you either. So just Damon Moylan. If that bloke's playing in any NRL team in the next couple of years, you just Dame at him every game.
They know that he won't be playing NRL next year.
You wouldn't think so. But,
and I felt a bit sorry for McGuinness at the back end working his absolute ring out.
Yeah, he was fucked.
He misses a couple, and he misses that the last couple of tries were through him.
Yep.
But he was cooked by that stage. So.
Yeah. After that disallowed try, the next 30 minutes, Sharks barely had another attacking opportunity. They're just working it off their own line. It doesn't help when you drop the ball every 5 or 6 minutes in a game. Like, again, it's the same story it's been for the entirety of the year. Missing a tackle every minute and a half and then fucking dropping the ball every 5 or 6 minutes. You're not going to beat fucking just about anybody unless you get, unless they're giving you the same opportunities that you're giving them. But, just gave way too many opportunities to Newcastle. Newcastle were good. Newcastle were clinical. They played smart footy, both sides of the ball. They're very physical. The likes of Frizzell was belting the fuck out of people out on that side of the field. Bradman Best was running over the top of guys out on the left-hand side. Marzu was doing front rowers work and then barging over people to score tries as well. I thought Newcastle were fantastic, and you have to, you do have to turn around and obviously give the opposition their props when they play really good football, and that's why it blew out as far as it was.
Yeah,
the Sharks.
Well, good teams have that last gear where they can find in 20 minutes, and they found it.
Yeah,
like they could have got the cruise through and won their 16-6 or
and against a lot of other teams, it would have been 24 plays 10 or something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because the Sharks were horrible for big parts of the game, but. Newcastle just really ramped it up, went to that left edge continually with Bradman Best and Marzu out there, and they caused all sorts of problems. Gay guy on the other side of the field was making Ramian look like a goose. Oh, no, it wasn't Ramian. Who's the one out? Talakai. Made Talakai just look hopeless at times. Mulatano came in off his wing 2 or 3 times and got burnt by Dominic Young on his outside. The outside backs for the Sharks, for how good they can be, they were very bad in this game up against a pretty good opposition. Newcastle will trouble some of these teams.
I actually think the more I think about this, and I've been a little bit I was with them at the start, I've been off them, with them again, I think they're capable of running top, like when we get to, they're capable of making that elimination final, whatever the fucking final four is.
They've gone from looking like fucking winning the wooden spoon to running 5th, and they can't run any lower than 5th.
They'll be there in the second last week. I would back them to beat the Warriors.
That's the prelim final, yeah. So
Whatever they call
the
it.
old semi-final.
Whatever they fucking call it.
Yeah.
The week I can't remember. The week before the grand final.
Grand final qualifier.
They're on the
That's
right
what they
side of the
call
draw
it
to
these
avoid
days.
all the shit. They'll beat Souths. They're going to beat the Roosters.
Cowboys.
Roosters
beat
is
the Sharks up
Roosters
again.
is the only team that will trouble them. They'll beat the they've towed up the Roosters. They've already towed up the Sharks.
Cowboys,
Canberra don't matter. So they're going to go deep.
Sharks at their absolute best can trouble teams as well, but
They're going to have to.
they
They're going to have to
don't
beat.
put their
They're going
best
to have
on
to
the
have the
field
game of their lives
very
against
often.
probably the Warriors or Melbourne in between.
Yeah.
And they can beat either team, I think.
Absolutely.
It'd be a great story if they did make it. It'd be a great story if they won a comp, because then I'd have to watch that fucking Darren Abbott try for the 5 billionth time. Fuck me, I'm over watching that.
Ponga obviously now is a bit of a worry with the
fucking
shoulder
Peter
injury.
Siddle hat trick and Shane Warne's first ball in England. I would be happy if I never saw her again. My God, it's fuck. Anyway, hey.
I'll watch the warning ball again, but
I've
yeah,
seen
the
it,
other
no.
two. Yeah,
There's so many better balls too. I would watch him bowl Andrew Strauss behind his legs.
Yeah,
Another 7 billion times. Anyway.
Ponga injury is a bit of a worry for him, depending on how long he's out for.
And everything I just said is relying on Ponga, Hastings,
Absolutely.
and the other bloke that's got a new here somewhere. Yeah.
Frizzell,
Yeah.
gay guy, best. But yeah, there was nothing wrong with the tackle, I thought, from Ramian that obviously put the injury in. Everyone's
Zero injury. Zero
commentators were talking about it being late, and he dead set hit him the moment he let go of the ball.
I actually don't understand how people,
and because he hit
how
him
those
hard,
same commentators,
and then they were talking about,
said that
it was
about
late, and then it was
Ponga,
high, and no.
and
it
then we're
wasn't
making
either of those
excuses when
things.
Mitch Moses got his head taken off. Or we're making excuses for we're hire fucking Jared
Letters.
on Appy. Or like, what do these people want?
They even hit him like right in the middle of the bicep and hit him
Yeah,
the
there was
moment he
no-
let go of the
I had
ball.
no issue
and
at
he
all
just
with
hit
that.
him hard and hurt him.
Yeah.
So anyway, move on. Okay.
No, from
yeah.
it upset me if I kept talking.
Another one with the Sharks. The 6 blokes missed 5 tackles. Like, you can't do that and win a game of footy. It's just, Moylan was a passenger. 8 minutes into the second half, Ponga runs 60 metres off a kick return. Beat 4 or 5 blokes and just streaks down the middle of the field. That was the moment I went, okay, we're not winning this game today.
Yeah. Hamlin Ueli, 8 missed tackles. Oh, sorry, just catching up there.
He was okay with ball in hand, but yeah, you had the likes of Graham, McGuinness, Moylan all missing 5, 6, 7 tackles. Ueli with 8. But yeah. Nakora, Bailey and Graham, throw Trindle in there. They played decent. Tracy was very good. He's been a very good addition there at fullback.
What do you do with him next year?
Don't know.
Centre and move Talakai out?
Yeah, has to. But Talakai's, this is another point I wanted to make. Talakai's defence is fucking soft as anyone I've seen.
Yeah. He doesn't move left or right. And he doesn't particularly tackle very hard.
Unless he surprises someone and belts them.
Yeah.
His defence is soft as. Like, he gets pushed off by halves and centres and, the bloke that's that size should be ripping in and cutting people in half.
Yeah.
But his defence is very soft. He always seems to be on the back foot and moving the wrong way. And
He will be better off the bench next year, actually.
I would imagine that's probably where...
Turn him into
where we
Hazelton.
do. Yeah.
And then go back and make
Put Hazelton into the front row. Yeah.
Make him play centre. That's
At least be able to grab blokes that are 2 foot away from
You
him.
come here.
Very good. Rudolph, 47 tackles in 42 minutes. He only made 5 or 6 runs or something. But
Side
fuck,
note,
he was
what
good.
about they found the one bloke from the Sharks to do the pilot ad? Who do you reckon they picked?
Yeah, it was
well done.
Our man Rudolph, yes. Brayley's in there too, isn't he? Another different one. But yeah.
It's Brayley and Graham.
And McGuinness was great for the Sharks. He busted his ring out, as you said. He got very tired at the back end of the game, but it was brilliant. Young, Marzu, Frizzell all had strong games. Elliott had a very good game. So did Bradman Best. Clune was fucking great. Like, he's stepped straight back in and looked like every bit of a first grade halfback since he's come back into this team. Gay guy, Ponga, they were brilliant.
Yep.
They're just, fantastic.
What's Clune been through? He's been through what? He went.
And
Roosters,
Dylan Lucas. Dylan Lucas was fucking phenomenal.
Yes, when we
That
talk
young
about kids
kid
with someone,
walked-
when
he
we
worked
how many
himself.
times in the last 4 years have we said this kid's got something about him?
Yeah.
He's got something about him.
Absolutely worked himself to a standstill. Ended up scoring that try, and then got the wooden legs on because both legs cramped up at the same time. Poor bastard.
I can't wait for Casey Badger to cramp up in the 65th minute on Sunday afternoon.
But yeah, I actually gave him 2 points. I had Ponga with 3, Dylan Lucas with 2, and then I had Gay Guy with the 1. Or Badman best, but
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I'm just thinking.
Gay Guy was a big part of Young's tries, and yeah.
Ponga, yeah, go with it. Ponga, Lucas, Gay Guy. Who's had a phenomenal year. Apart from like 2 weeks.
Had a couple of question marks.
Apart from like 2 weeks, apart from that one game where.
And it was right before Origin, unfortunately.
Where Stafford, was it?
Yeah.
No, someone owned him, and he got dropped for Origin.
Yep.
Thank you, Ray. Alrighty, that is it. That is a look back across all 8 games. Where are you feeling? How are you feeling going into the preview show with your old nemesis, the Canberra Raiders, looking at taking the Sharks?
Considering how well they played last week, yeah, there was definitely concerns. Yeah. Both teams with their game on, with their season on the line, Sharks can possibly fall out, but unlikely depending on what other things happen. We haven't beaten them in the last 9 or 10 games, so you have to have every bit of concern that they don't get up. Here, the good thing is that they're at home. Nico's been named to play, which is a big part of the Sharks' attack. But if they miss 61 tackles, they'll probably get flogged against a team that has very little attack.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's probably the only thing that makes me feel a little more secure is that the Sharks should have more points in them than the Canberra side. But
let's talk about that next show. Let's wrap up this show. Have you got a pot plant of the week?
I have nothing at the moment. I need to go and find that.
All right, Barney, have you got a pot plant, a player/team that would be better served by being a nursery?
Yeah, Josh Kerr from the Dragons. The hip drops. It's been like, you can't swing around and do that kind of thing. He made 12 tackles and about 5 runs in the space of about 40 minutes, and then managed to get himself sent off for 10 minutes, which really cost the Dragons in their matchup. It's a bit hard to find a pot plant this week. I don't think there was any atrocious performances, but there was a few that were pretty poor.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm just sort of going to. I don't want to throw Panthers juniors under the bus because that's not fair at all. So I'm thinking I'm just going to say the Dolphins outside backs at pot plants because we saw it coming. The gaps were there. They got exploited. What can I say? It's a tricky week for pot, and next week might be the most unfair pot planning of all time.
There could be 1,000 pot plants.
Have you got a slap?
Yeah, Churchill. Rob Churchill from the text message sent to, was it Nick
and
Pappas?
He went out of his way to send to the media as well. So
and then sent a second message adding just even a bit more
just
about it.
He's just a cranky bloke at the RSL.
He's pissed, and obviously he's got he's a Latrell hater. Obviously, he's asking about where the myth is and how he stands up for his culture more than the club, and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Blokes have ups and downs in their playing career, and that's it is what it is.
I'm going to give a slap to the mainstream media, and it's not necessarily for any of that, which you could slap them for all the time. But I'm just slightly baffled by how it took them 2 months to realise Souths are cooked when I was saying it 2 months ago, trying to make excuses for them talking about their travel schedule, and how they all insisted, if you go back and watch those previews, that Canterbury will make the 8 and never even look likely based on what we saw. And if you go back, you can go back and listen if you haven't already, and we'll do it again next year. The 5-hour season preview will pretty...
I tipped the Dogs to finish 8th, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I didn't. But I might have tipped the Tigers, so we're not always right. But anyway, I don't know how it took them so long to jerry that Souths were gone. Same as Bulldogs, but now they've just turned on both because why? We can't be wrong. It must be their fault.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now they've stuck the boot in them, which is a nice change from sticking the boot in the wooden spooners. In terms of a salute, as we like to finish on a good one, I'm going to salute Gutho. Yeah, last game of the year. Comes out missing their main man. Not much to play for on one leg, and produces a performance like to beat the potential premiers, the defending 2-time premiers. And I thought he was outstanding. So I'm going to give it to Clint Gutherson. Luckily, I don't have to get outraged about him whinging to referees this week.
Reece Walsh. He's been doing it all year, but just another clinical performance, ball in hand. Well, we can't say clinical because he does make errors, but he's just that X factor and provides so many opportunities for his outside men to score tries and creates a whole lot of chaos in the middle of the field on his own as well. So, yeah, brilliant performance from Reece Walsh this week.
Absolutely. This has been Footy and Frothies. Breaking news. Jared Ware-Hargraves has been found guilty and will miss 7 games, which I believe is pretty close to the modern record. Who got...
I think it was a 9 or something.
Someone got 8, I think, is a record. So he's out till, what would that be, round
Round
5,
one.
round, well,
2, depending on internationals.
If they don't make the game, I suppose
there's 3 or 4 New Zealand
Mickey
games,
Mouse
I think,
New
at the end
Zealand
of the
games
year.
that count. So he'll miss a couple, 2 or 3 rounds next year.
Yeah.
So, as suggested, he misses all of that. And we are going to come back shortly and preview round 27 of the National Rugby League, something we've never done before as a podcast.
Never done.
And
Nobody's ever done.
exactly. And we're also going to suggest you go and buy some merch from rugbyleaguemerch.com, some hats, beanies, steins, all that sort of good stuff. Thanks for all the feedback that keeps coming in through social media, Facebook, Threads, X, and YouTube. You can subscribe to us on all those mediums, and we'll be talking to you very soon. See you guys.